Hello there, welcome to this online perfume making workshop with me, Michael Borkowsky. So today we're going to make a dead simple floral Eau De Toilette fragrance. But before we get into how to go about making that, I'll just give you a quick rundown about me and how I got into perfumery. So I'm an artist and I use perfume in my work. I've been using perfume for about 6 or 7 years now. The whole endeavour began as a residency project here in Sheffield, where I'm based. And it was a project that was looking at whether perfume could be used as an art discipline, similar to how painting and sculpture and the like is very much considered to be an artistic discipline that can house all these concepts such as narrative, symbolism, portraiture and the like. I wondered whether that could apply to perfume as well, and basically I concluded that yes it could, and set about developing a project that looked at portraiture specifically, and I started making perfumes that were portraits of other people, and I presented these perfumes within contemporary art or gallery spaces, and through doing those particular perfumes, it became quite apparent, quite quickly actually, that the process of making a perfume is actually rather simple to talk through and rather fun as well. So I started staging perfume making workshops around the UK. And obviously then coronavirus hit, so I've not been doing so much of that, but hopefully I'll start doing it again soon. In the meantime, we have the virtual space in order to host these kind of workshops. So that's a little bit about me. As I say, today we're going to make an Eau De Toilette fragrance, and in order to do that, we're going to need the following: a Liang Liang lavender, rose and mandarin oils, a perfume bottle with a lid and a stop, and 30 ml of perfumer's alcohol, and you need a measuring jug too. So that's all of the equipment and the materials. It's relatively simple in terms of what we need, and relatively cheap in terms of what we need. The perfumer's alcohol, which is a specially formulated ethanol based alcohol that's kind to the skin and dilutes the fragrances effectively. You can buy relatively cheaply online. I got this from a company called Mistral. This is 1 litre. You don't need anywhere near 1 litre. You can get 50, 100ml bottles very cheaply. The measuring jug too, I managed to find online cheaply. And then the oils and the bottle I've sourced from a company called Naturally Thinking, which do sustainable and good quality oils as well as eco-friendly bottles. This bottle is biodegradable and it won't bleed, which means that the plastic on the inside won't bleed into the overall fragrance once it's made, which is important and which can happen with simpler, cheaper bottles. So I tried to be eco-friendly as possible and sustainable as possible when I'm making my work. As I say, today we're going to make a relatively floral fragrance. We've got Liang Liang lavender and rose, so quite rich and deep florals with a little bit of a spicy kick in the lavender. But as well as those, we've got the mandarin, and the mandarin is fruity and citrusy. So what we're going to end up with is a rather sort of deep floral fragrance, but with a bit of a sort of light citrusy, hearty sort of kick really. So a relatively easy fragrance to make, one that I quite like making because the mandarin is very sort of light, and the Liang Liang is quite heavy, so it sort of starts off light and ends up sort of progressively sort of richer and deeper, and I quite like that as a sort of narrative, if you like, of the concoction. So the mandarin is the top note, which means that it's the note that you smell first. It's going to leave a first impression, and eventually that will make way for the lavender and the rose, which are the mid notes, which have a certain, they can linger to an extent, but eventually they will make way for the liang liang, which is the base note, and that's a very sort of lasting impression, which can last hours or even days, depending on the oil that you use. So to make the Eau De Toilette specifically, and what sort of defines an Eau De Toilette is the amount of fragrance we're going to use against the amount of perfumer's alcohol we're going to use. And we're going to use 5% fragrance against 95% alcohol. So roughly 5% of the overall concoction is the actual scent itself. And that is what constitutes an Eau De Toilette, because an Eau De Toilette is around about 5% of the overall makeup is the fragrance. Incidentally, these are all essential oils, so it's going to be purely an essential oil concoction. You may want to use synthetic oils. There's nothing inherently wrong with a good quality synthetic oil. The essential oils, of course, completely natural, that they've been made using lavenders, liang liang, mandarin, rose. But rose in particular can be an expensive essential oil, so you might want to look at buying a synthetic instead, a good quality synthetic, which would also be quite, it's hard to explain, but a simpler smell, because the rose, because it's natural, is quite a complex smell. It's got lots of different smells within it, if you like, whereas a synthetic one can be quite a simple fragrance, which can be useful for not overcomplicating a scent. But for this demonstration, I've decided to use essential oils only, which is again something that you can do if you like. What we're going to do is we're going to work out that 5%, and I've already worked this out for you. Normally it involves a bit of maths, and one of these, which is a perfumer's scale, or a jeweller's scale I should say. But I've basically done the legwork for you, and I've worked out that we're going to need 12 drops of each note in order to make an Eau De Toilette. So we need 12 drops of the mandarin, the top note, 12 drops of the rose and lavender, the middle note, and 12 drops of liang liang, the base note. And we're just going to have a little kick of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 10 drops of lavender and 2 drops of rose, which will make 12 drops in total. So what we're going to do, now that we've worked that out, is we're going to literally just add the oils to the bottle. It's as simple as adding the 12 drops per note. So here comes the mandarin first of all, the top note. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. Don't worry, incidentally, if a little bit more comes out than you expect. It will just be a slightly more potent fragrance, but it won't make a huge difference in my experience if just a tiny little bit of extra comes out of the fragrance. So the lavender is next, and that's 10 drops. 1, 2, 3, 10. That's 10 of the lavender. I tend to give it a little bit of a shake just to get an impression of how those two smell together. It's very sort of what I'd call a clean sort of smell, and it's also got a bit of a, it's got that sort of fruitiness of the mandarin coming through. The rose is the next oil to add. A little bit slower than the other two, but here it comes. 1, 2. There's a certain sort of velvetiness, I guess, to the overall concoction so far, and then the liang liang, which tends to be quite a deep smell normally, is now added. So that's 12 drops. 5. 12 drops there. So that is the fragrance itself is added now entirely to the bottle. That's going to constitute the 5% overall fragrance. We're now going to add the perfumer's alcohol, And like I said, we need 30 ml of perfumer's alcohol. This of course dilutes the concoction, makes it kinder to the skin. And when it's being shaken, it will ensure a nice even sort of fragrance. So the next step after we've added everything, so that is the perfumer's alcohol and all of the ingredients added, we give it a shake. We give it a 2-minute shake to be exact. When you give it a good shake, it basically ensures an even sort of distribution of the oils around the perfumer's alcohol. So each time you spray it, it should ensure it's kind of the same each time, basically. You shouldn't need to shake it again, actually, after you've shaken it for 2 minutes the first time round. Obviously, it's quite a boring process watching me shake for 2 minutes, so I won't last the whole 2 minutes, but that is it in terms of the perfume being made. Of course, you could then go ahead and decorate the bottle. You could use labels or tape or even paints in order to make the bottle your own. And you can also name the perfume and list the ingredients on the label. Choice is yours, really, but it's a very simple, very pleasant scent that you can make relatively easily and cheaply at home. If you log on to michaelborkowsky.com/perfume making, there's a step-by-step instruction of how to make this exact perfume on there. So if you like, you can take a look at that as well. But that's it. That is the perfume made, and that is me done for the day. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully at some point soon I'll see you for a real life perfume making workshop experience. But for now, I'll say goodbye.